Am I audible, online students? If someone can please confirm it in the chat box. Great, thank you. So how was the experience yesterday? Have you written that summary? Yes. From online students, I received it only and only from 3 students, and that is it. So as long as you people are not very sincere, very prompt, in that case, so it will be very difficult for us to help you in any what way possible. आप लोगों में किस किसने समरी नहीं लिखी वो बताओ. Okay, then it's okay. Okay. Exam? That's the only reason that you couldn't write summary. Done. जिन्होंने लिखी है वो आज जाते हो रिसेप्शन पे डिपॉजिट करके जाना, सबमिट कर जाना. Then I will check it tomorrow morning and give it back to you. All right. So yesterday we were talking about intro to history. Today we are going to talk about intro to polity. Right? And what I'm going to do is now that I'm going to disable the chat for some time so that first you can listen to the things, understand them properly, and after discussion, then I will open the chat box and even give you mic as I gave yesterday, and then you can ask your questions, your doubts, and I will try to solve them properly. So today when we start with polity, I tell you what polity basically is. There is something called Constitution of India. There is a book called Constitution of India. When we talk about polity, Constitution is just one part of it. And there is much beyond this Constitution in our polity. Let me give you some very basic ideas first of all. Let's take an example. When I read my Constitution, I understand that there is an election commission in India. So this election commission is a constitutional body, right? And this election commission is having the responsibility to conduct the elections. Abhi Punjab mein elections honge, ya Lok Sabha elections, wherever the elections are. So this is the body that will hold elections. Now there is one chief election commissioner, there are 2 election commissioners, the roles and responsibilities of this election commission. It has been given a brief introduction in the Constitution. Now, when the elections are to be held, first of all, there are political parties, but there is no reference to these political parties in our Constitution. So it is beyond the scope of Constitution that there are political parties, how these parties are formed, how these parties are behaving, how these parties are acting in this society, what is their role, what is their function. It is not mentioned anywhere in this Constitution. So we will go beyond the Constitution and then understand the working of political parties. When there are political parties, there are pressure groups as well, right? Pressure groups or interest groups. Now we should know the meaning and functions and role of these interest and pressure groups as well. Then when we go a little beyond this basic information, which is otherwise given in NCERTs, then we come to know that there are various types of interest groups, right? It is not just one interest group, like there is a student union, there is a farmer union or association, there is workers union, there is labor union. So there are different type of unions, right? There is teacher union. So all these groups, we have to understand which of these type of groups these are. They can ask a question like 4 type of groups, 4 groups in front of them, match the following, which group falls in which category, right? Now there is People's Representation Act. People's Representation Act. Now there is nothing, basically it is representation of people that we call it ROPA, but there is nothing written about it in the Constitution itself. Now there is Delimitation Commission, which is related to elections only, but it is not mentioned in the Constitution. So we have to cover this as well. Beyond this, there are some theoretical aspects. For example, in our Constitution, there is a word called socialism. Now, what is this socialism? The Constitution has not per se defined the term socialism in a clear-cut terms, but then we need to understand what is this socialism. Because we come from India, where we have a great leader called Gandhi, whom we were discussing yesterday. Gandhi gave Gandhism. Now, what are the similarities and what are the differences between Gandhism and socialism? There is a thing called India ensures liberty. Liberty comes through the idea of liberalism. Now, what is liberalism? Is liberalism completely opposite to socialism and Gandhism or not? So there are multiple things that we should know, we should understand, and we should be familiar with them. So what I'm going to do today, as I did in first half, I was talking about Indian history. In second half, I was talking about world history. Today in the first half, I will be first focusing on constitution, some basic concepts so that we get familiar with them. In the second part, I will be talking about something beyond constitution, not exactly the parties and others, because I have not again come prepared for this lecture. These are introductory lectures, so random things, or even you can propose a thing कि sir आज आप ये पढ़ा दो. So whatever you feel, you can ask me, or whatever comes to my mind haphazardly, I will teach you, because only a regular class can be well organized. कि आज मैंने क्लास में जाना है, आज मैंने रिवोल्ट ऑफ 1857 ही पढ़ाना है, कल मैं जाऊंगा तो बियॉन्ड 1857 का टॉपिक आ जाएगा, परसों जाऊंगा कांग्रेस आ जाएगी, वो उसी टाइम पे हो सकता है. इंट्रोडक्टरी क्लासेस आर लाइक रैंडम क्लासेस. So first of all, let me know what you understand by constitution. What is this idea of constitution, from where it emerged, and what is the relevant significance of this thing constitution? What do you understand by it? Anyone? Okay, I will keep the chat box open now so that in case anyone feels like interacting, telling, asking anything, so you can type it in the chat box. So what exactly you understand by this constitution? What is its importance, significance? Yeah, tell me.
So constitution is a set of rules and regulations set in 1950.
Let's not keep it only to Indian constitution, a broad definition of what is constitution.
That is kept in place to avoid chaos among the society.
Okay. Anyone else?
Sir, it is a guiding principle that how the politics should be exercised. It is a limit. It offers for the limited government.
Very good. The word is limited government. Now, what is the meaning of this word limited government?
So that government should exercise its duty under the law.
All right. Yesterday, you remember I used a term called absolute monarchy. Now, a monarch is a king or a queen, right? When I say there is monarchy, that means by default, there is no democracy. A king and then his son and then his son, they will automatically become kings. That is hereditary monarchy. When kings have such a huge control over the political system, they do not give you any sort of rights or any sort of privileges or facilities. They keep all the power in them, right? They can decide anything and they can, take away anything from you anytime. So they have absolute power. There is no limit on their powers. That is why it is called absolute monarchy. Now, what happened if we relate world history and we start from French Revolution? Why the people of France were upset? Because they saw that the kings or the queens, they do not share any power with them. They have no role to play in the political life. The things that will change their life, they cannot have any participation in it, right? If the king is to today say that I am going to increase taxes on you, the common people have no mechanism whereby they can go and confront that. Why are you increasing the taxes? Right? Can't you see we are already poverty-ridden people and you are asking us to pay more taxes? How we will live our life comfortably now? Right? So there was no mechanism like this. So people of France, being fed up in 1789, revolted against the Bourbon kings. Now, when they revolted, they established a kind of constituent assembly, right? National Assembly was established, and this National Assembly was given the task, let's write a constitution. Now, when we write a constitution, what we are going to do? I'm going to tell that what are the powers of the government, what at best they can do, and what are the rights of the people, what government cannot deny the people, what they cannot take away from the people. For example, today, living in India, I tell you, see, Parliament can make any law, but it cannot take away the fundamental rights of the people of India under normal circumstances. But if there is emergency, they can take away your fundamental rights. But even if they can take away your fundamental rights, under no set of circumstances, they can ever say that your right to life has been taken away. You cannot be killed in the name of emergency. But if it is a dictator, if it is somewhere where it is non-democratic regime, let's say it's a Talibanized society. So they will come and say, oh, you are not wearing burqa, we can kill you. Oh, a girl is going to school, we can shoot you. So there is no guarantee of life. So where you have a proper constitution written in a democratic system, you become more civilized, you become more organized, and there is no authority, there is no power which have absolute control over any set of rules. Now, if we have a prime minister, if we are not happy with that prime minister, we have so many mechanisms. Now, what are those mechanisms? Unfortunate is the fact that when we study in our school days, by default, we all are made to study civics. right? But do you understand that how you can change the system? If you are not happy with your prime minister, if you are not happy with the ministers, if you are not happy with the, let's say, your MPs, how can you change the system? तुम कैसे लेके आओगे? तुम तो पार्लियामेंट में थोड़ा बैठे हो, यू आर नॉट मेंबर्स ऑफ पार्लियामेंट कि तुम नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन लाओगे. So that means you have to lay back for 5 years at least. कुछ नहीं कर सकते 5 सालों में. प्रोटेस्ट है ना. फार्म बिल वापस गए हैं ना, या फार्म बिल वापस जाएंगे या कुछ और होगा, राइट? सो डेमोक्रेसी हमें एक स्पेस देती है जहां पे हमें बिना वायलेंट हुए भी अपनी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने का मैकेनिज्म मिल जाता है, बट वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वे में ही करना है. अब इसको एक बार हिस्ट्री से जोड़ते हैं. व्हेन आई से ना कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, it means it gives us space to get our problem solved. Now that space is for civilized society. Civilized लोगों के लिए है वो space. It is not for those who are violent people. So when I say ना, we can use constitutional methods for our problems to get our problems resolved. It means peaceful way of agitation. You can write articles in the newspaper. You can participate in the debates on national television. You can sit on peaceful dharna as well, but you have to make sure that your peaceful dharna is not creating trouble or inconvenience to the people. Like you cannot sit on Singhu border for that case, na, that people who are to go to Delhi, they have to face so much of the hardships. Now that is ransack. That is, taking the system for a ride. Now, when you do things like that, it becomes extra constitutional methods of agitation. Constitution always tells us that you have to use peaceful methods, not causing trouble to your fellow citizens. When you go one step beyond that, that becomes extra constitutional method of agitation. And in case you take one more step, you start throwing stones, you start setting the buildings or automobiles on fire, कि गाड़ियों को आग लगा दी, पत्थर मारे, firing कर दी, bomb गिरा दिया, petrol फेंक दिया, then it becomes not just constitutional or extra constitutional, it becomes unconstitutional method of agitation, right? So when I say na, there was moderates in the Congress, they were using constitutional methods of agitation. They used to write articles against the British oppression in the newspapers. They used to hold public speeches, debates, right? They used to meet the officers as a pressure group that this is wrong, you should change this method in India. That was peaceful method of agitation. Then came the extremist leaders of Congress. The extremist leader used extra constitutional methods like sitting on dharna and then Swadeshi and boycott. These are extra constitutional methods of agitation. Then comes revolutionaries, people like Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad and Surya Sen and others who used unconstitutional methods of agitation. They openly started killing the British officers, right? As is Bhagat Singh killing Saunders by firing on him and then throwing bomb in the National Assembly, Central Assembly. So these are non-constitutional methods of agitation, yeah, unconstitutional methods of agitation. So what happened? France, when they realized that there is absolute monarchy, we don't even have this method of agitation, the constitutional method of agitation. So they had to adopt the unconstitutional method of agitation. There was open war, people were killed, and the king was beheaded. The people of France were so upset that they beheaded the king. It is called to guillotine the king, right? Now that the king was beheaded, people were killed. What exactly they were looking forward to? They wanted to establish a better society. They wanted to have a peaceful society where people should enjoy their life. But what they ended up getting, it was totally unorganized, uncivilized way of life. Now they again sat down and they thought, we have to make our society worth living for human beings. So let's write a constitution. While writing constitution, now they said, we will have limited monarchy. Limited monarchy. Now, what is the meaning of limited monarchy? That there will be a king in France, but that king will have not the absolute powers, but we will decide that what powers are there for the king and what king cannot do. And king is bound to go by this constitution, right? So if king is not going by the constitution, then we can again revolt against the king. Done. So they gave some powers to the king. After a while, some time passed, new kings came and they thought, okay, people would have forgotten what has happened in the past. Let's try to reclaim our powers. Let's get back all the powers, go back into the same aura of being absolute kings and start interfering in every walk of life of common people. Now people are again upset. We are always told that there was a French Revolution in 1789. But when we study and we start interlinking the things, then we come to know that in France, there was a revolution in 1830 as well. And then there was a revolution in 1848 as well. These three revolutions, when we study together, we understand the journey that how France from an absolute monarchy to a limited monarchy then became a republic. They said, enough, we don't need a king. We want that the head of the state should be elected by the people. We want to have those democratic rights with us. This is how the idea of limited government, as he said, started evolving. That there will be a government elected by the people, and then these people will decide that what rights these government can have, what roles they will have, what powers they will have, and what rights we will keep with us for our better life. Is it clear to everyone? Now, here I would like to tell you that we have to understand a very important thing, that by reading random NCERTs or random books in isolation, कि आज मैं polity पढ़ लेता हूँ, right? Today I am just doing polity, someday I will start history, and then they remain as islands of knowledge for us. No, we are not able to write either good essays or good answers in this exam. So the most important thing is, as I could link up polity and history together, so do one day you have to do it. The day you start interlinking the things, only then you become one such person who writes the most effective and most impressive answers and get better ranks, right? Ordinary people will not get selected. A little extraordinary people will get selected, but not in the top services or with the top ranks. People who will improvise, they will be genuinely very, very extraordinary people, and they will get the chance of getting the IAS, IFS, and IPS posts. For that, being extraordinary, the journey is to know how to interlink the things, right? So this is very important, which you all need to know. Okay, I'm going to disable the chat because I think a few people are causing nuisance in the class. All right, so let's start with some of the basic terms of our constitution. First word is going to be sovereign. First word is sovereign. Now tell me what you mean by the word sovereign, or then obviously sovereignty. Political science पढ़ रहे हो? Very good. बताओ.
The supreme authority, which is in earlier time considered as the source of law.
Okay. और कोई?
Which is not answerable to me.
ऐसा तो नहीं है. ये थोड़ी सी तुमने far-fetched definition दे दी. Very good. देखो, sovereignty as a term or sovereign as a person or authority has to be understood in two dimensions: internal sovereignty and external sovereignty. These are two dimensions of sovereignty. When I talk about internal sovereignty, write a definition. Write a small definition for internal sovereignty. Now, when I say internal sovereignty, likho, there is no authority within. There is no authority within to challenge the power of authority. To challenge the power of the sovereign authority. To challenge the power of sovereign authority. This is for internal sovereignty. For external, write a definition, then I will make you understand these terms. There is no equal. There is no equal externally who can interfere in the internal affairs of an other sovereign. In the internal affairs of another sovereign. Now let me give you a very basic example first. In India, who holds the sovereign power? I will come back to it later, like how we will identify who is a sovereign. Let's presume that we believe that Mr. Modi is the sovereign in India, right? He's our prime minister. It is not the individual who is the sovereign. It is the authority that is sovereign, the chair, the position. So it is the Prime Minister of India. If today it is Mr. Modi, so he is the sovereign. If earlier it was Sardar Manmohan Singh ji, so it was he who was sovereign, right? One fine day, Modi ji decided in 2016 that 500 and 1000 rupees will no more be valid in India. And he said, okay, I announce that throughout India, the notes are going to be now invalid and we will bring new currency. Now tell me, any chief minister, any governor, any other person who could say, no, I will not agree to it. Can Mamata Banerjee ma'am say कि नहीं West Bengal में तो पुराने चलेंगे, मैं नहीं मानती, भाड़ में जाओ? Can anyone in Punjab say that? So is there anyone who is equal to this sovereign within India? If he said one day कि आज रात मध्य रात्रि से कर्फ्यू कोरोना काल में, right, लॉकडाउन, can anybody say कि नहीं यार नहीं हम नहीं कर रहे, पंजाब तो खुला ही रहेगा, वेस्ट बंगाल खुला ही रहेगा, हम तो नहीं मानते तुम्हारे कर्फ्यू. So tell me anyone who is equal in authority who can say at one stretch कि मैं पूरे इंडिया में ये चेंज कर रहा हूँ. So that's sovereign power. There is no one within who is equal to you, who can challenge your authority. If Modi ji said yes, trains will not run, तो कोई और कह सकता नहीं मैं तो ट्रेन चला लूंगा अपनी. Simple. But the day Modi ji said okay, स्ट्रैगर करो, ओपन करो, मैं स्टेट्स को अथॉरिटी देता हूं, अपनी मर्जी से खोल दो, यू हैव योर लिबर्टी, यू कैन डिसाइड कितना खोलना है. नाउ स्टेट्स कैन डिसाइड. बट हु गेव दैट पावर टू द स्टेट्स? द मेन अथॉरिटी, द सॉवरेन पावर. डन. ये हो गया इंटरनल सॉवरेनिटी. Internally, there is no one who can challenge me. Internally, there is no one who can say no to me, but I'm saying you have to do it. And if you will not do it, now let's link it with the constitution in a different manner. Within the constitution, it has been written that all the states in India, they have to act according to the directions from the center. Simple. It is written that states will act in accordance with the directions from the center. If now center gives a direction that this is COVID time, this is pandemic time, and you have to go for lockdown, and let's say West Bengal says, no, we are not doing it. You know what is the scene now? It is breakdown of the constitutional machinery. You are not agreeing to the directions of the center. You are not agreeing to the command of your sovereign. This is breakdown of constitutional machinery. Because this is breakdown of constitutional machinery, there is a provision within the constitution, Article 356. Let's impose emergency in that state. Dismiss the government, put the president rule in that state, let the governor run it. उसी टाइम पे स्टेट की सरकार भंग. Dismissal of the state government. The chief minister has to go back. No role for state. All powers will be taken over by center. हो गया clear अब internal sovereignty का concept? Are we comfortable? So guys, I'm going to open the chat box so that you can also tell me, could you relate and understand with this concept now? Internal sovereignty. All right, thank you. Now we talk about external sovereignty. I said there is no equal otherwise who can interfere in my affairs. Let's take an example here. Otherwise, we believe that America is very powerful, right? I will come to this judiciary wala point. I will come to, don't worry. Otherwise, we believe America is very powerful. Now China is very powerful, or whatever it is. Now we have some problems with China, and Prime Minister Modi ji decided one day that we are not going to use the Chinese apps. 50 plus Chinese apps are going to be banned. Can China ask us not to do it? Then how can anybody ask us to change our policies? Okay, I say that I understand one thing, that if I buy crude oil from Iran, right? From Iran, if India buys crude oil from Iran, Iran gives us two benefits. One benefit is Iran is ready to take money in Indian currency. They are not asking us to give money in dollars. They say, okay, you give us in Indian currency. Now, when we give in Indian currency, obviously petrol becomes a little cheaper for us. Why? Because we are not required to first convert it into dollars, right? Our forex is safe. So we want to take oil from Iran. On one hand, Iran gives us the benefit that it deals with us in our currency and not ask us for dollars. Two, because we understand that strategically, Iran is very important for us. Chhabar port, we have to develop a port, we have to maintain our security. So we have to have that good relations with Iran. On the other hand, because Iran is developing nuclear weapons, America is having problems with Iran. So America says, one who will trade with Iran, America will put sanctions on that country. We will not trade with that country. We will not give them weapons. We will not give them anything. Now, as sovereign power in India, it is my decision on that day whether I want to do trade with Iran and not to bother for the sanctions of America, or I need America's help. I should not do trade with Iran. Neither Iran can force me, nor America can force me. Whatever I will decide on that day as sovereign authority of India will be in the national interest of India. Oil though I can get from Saudi as well. Oil though I can get from Venezuela as well. Okay, I have to pay little extra money. But looking at the borders with China, where there is a threat, I need to buy more and more weapons or more and more defense acquisition from America, or perhaps in the case of aggression by China, I would need America's support that day. Iran cannot help me in that day. So I will decide, okay, America, if you say I will not go for trade with Iran. But if I think, okay, I'm capable enough, I can handle China myself. Oil, Iran's oil is sufficient. I need no one's oil as such. To hell with America, I need no weapons. I'm self-sufficient, or I can get weapons from Russia. So I will go for trade with Iran. Now, they cannot force things on me. They can at max try negotiate with me. But when they negotiate with me, we all are equals. If he's Putin, if he's Biden, if I am Modi, and if you are Xi Jinping, we all are equal. We all are sovereigns of our country. We sit here together and we discuss, okay, tell me what are your problems? These are my problems. You solve my problems, I solve your problems. But when I come internally, if I am Modi and you are all chief ministers, somebody is Channi and somebody is, let's say, anyone for that case, now tell me, are you equal to me today? The moment I enter room, you all will stand up first of all. प्रधानमंत्री जी आए हैं, हाथ जुड़ जाएंगे तुम्हारे वैसे ही, ठीक है, चाहे गंदे से मुंह से जोड़ो पर जोड़ोगे. वहां पे जाके तो मैं सबके साथ बराबर खड़ा हो जाऊंगा. We are all equals, right? So is the concept of internal external sovereignty clear to all? Anish, I will give you your answer, don't worry. Is it clear, internal, external? So this type of understanding, like you would have been reading some books. Anyone who has already been reading books? Were you like clear with this clear-cut definition of sovereignty internally, externally? Great. So you were able to understand the concepts? Great. पढ़ रहे थे और समझ आ रहा था इंटरनल एक्सटर्नल सोवरेनिटी का डिफरेंस बिल्कुल ऐसे ही. ओके. वैसे पहले तो पढ़े होगे यार, शौकिया तो पढ़े होगे, कॉन्सेप्ट समझ आ रहे थे, बिल्कुल कोई डाउट नहीं आता था पढ़ते हुए. Were you able to relate this idea of internal sovereignty with Article 356 straight on? Okay, you were able to do this. Very nice. So political science पढ़ा होने का फायदा तो हो गया, इसका मतलब कि पॉलिटी के बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट्स की इंटरलिंकिंग समझ आ गई. ठीक है. How about you guys? Great. तुम्हारे पास भी पॉलिटिकल साइंस है. अब देखो होगा क्या, while we prepare for UPSC, it provides us a level play field. If they ask questions on polity and people with a background in polity become more, they are more familiar and they are more comfortable with it, then they will also ask us questions on physics and chemistry and biology. At that time, perhaps people from humanity background will be taken by a little surprise कि ये क्या question पूछ लिया, मुझे तो समझ ही नहीं आ रहा. And they will ask questions on economics as well. And then they will ask questions on geography and environment as well. And to not end it, they will ask questions on history as well. So it is a level play field. If in one or two subjects you are weak, you have to work on them only, right? Where you are strong, you have to create that strength, but not to leave things to chance कि यार मैं geography छोड़ ही जाता हूँ, मुझे आती नहीं है. So where you are weak, you have to strengthen that part, and where you are strong, you have to refabricate it, right? So this is the need of this exam. Otherwise, what will happen? There is something called principle of balance. Let's take an example. In GS paper, in your prelim exam, they ask you 100 random questions. Each question is for 2 marks, so making it 200 marks, right? Then there is 1/3 negative marking as well. We all know every wrong question will take away 1/3 marks of my right question. So if 3 questions go wrong, in that case, I lose 1 right answer as well. Now, because there are 100 questions, we have history, we have geography, environment, science and tech, economy, polity, IR, and current affairs related with all of these. There are current affairs of environment, science and tech, economy, polity, IR. Even history has current affairs. How? Last year, UNESCO gave heritage status to one of the Harappan sites that is Dholavira in Gujarat. And there was a question on Dholavira in paper. So it was in news. So there was a question in history. So even that is related with current affairs. So we have history, geography, environment, science and tech, economy, polity, IR. So I can say that roughly 15 questions plus minus 1 or 2 is something that I can expect in this paper. I know that the cutoff usually goes about 100, right? Plus minus 2, 3. It can be 98, it can be 102. Very seldom it has gone beyond 110. And at times it has come down to 92 as well. Fine. So now I say 100 is a very safe score. Paper is for 200 marks. I have to score 100 marks and I'm through this exam. Comfortably through this exam. Done? Now, if I am through this exam with, let's say, 100 marks, that means I should know answer to 50 questions. That is it. First of all, on day one, you have to give yourself a very clear message that this is not my college exam or a school exam where I have to pass with highest marks or with a distinction, and then I will get a gold medal. This is just a screening test. This is your prelim exam. The marks are not counted in your final selection. If someone gets, let's say, the cutoff is 98. There are two candidates we are talking about. Candidate A gets 98.33 marks and candidate B gets 140 marks. What is the difference between two? They are just writing mains and that is it. There is no difference at all. They both are writing mains. Now, when they write main, candidate A out of, let's say, 500 of optional and 1000 of GS and 250 of essay, 1750. This person gets 950 marks and this person gets 750 marks. Now he is selected, he is not selected. So what was the fun of getting 140 in your pre? So we have to first design our preparation in one such way that I am more focused on mains rather than on pre. The objectivity will automatically come out of the subjectivity. But the other way around is never possible. Yeah, I've been preparing only for the objective paper and then I can go and write very effective answers. That is impossible. Now, coming back to this, I thought that I will get 100 marks, I will pass this exam. And then I said, okay, I am from history as a background subject. I had history in my graduation. So I expect at least 15 questions on history. I will focus more on history. I will get at least 12 questions right. Nobody can get 15 on 15. Even I can't get, even if I've been teaching for last 22 years. Every year when I see at a question paper, I always wonder like, kahan se le aaya yaar, ye question net pe dhoondna padega. Right? Mujhe bhi nahi answer aata hota first go mein. Then I say, okay, I had political science as well in my graduation. I'm expecting another 15 questions here. So 12 I will again get from polity. That means I am done with 24 questions. I'm left with only 26 questions. Geography is little technical, but okay, I can manage human geography part at least where there is factual information. If there are 15 questions, I expect at least 8 questions from this part. I will at least get 8 questions from this part covered. IR as such is my forte because political science has been my subject. So out of 15, I expect at least I will manage 10 questions. So another 18 questions taken care of. Now I'm done 48 questions. I'm left with only 8. I am still left with environment, science and tech and economy. Now I say, okay, economy is very technical. Science has never been my stronghold. I will focus on environment. While focusing on environment, out of 15, I get 8 questions. My 50 are done. I am through the exam. If I think like this, did UPSC ever made a commitment with us that they will stick to this kind of fabrication or division of questions? So I did it something like this, presumably. And when I went for paper on history, there were 7 questions. On polity, there were 10 questions. On IR, there were 5 questions. On economy, there were 25 questions. And I left economy to chance. Now, on science and tech, there were 25 questions. My 50 questions are over. Now I have to correct all the remaining questions only to stay in the race. So why would you want to take chances like this? You have to create a balance. And the balance is, if there are 10 questions on history, I should know bare minimum 6. If there are 10 questions on geography, I should know 6. If there are 10 questions in science, I should know 6. Simple. Out of 100, you know 60. Out of those 60, your 3 or 4 questions go wrong. Accidentally, you are still above the passing marks. Now that is the method to prepare for mains. You cannot prepare for pre in one such way. Out of 100, I will score 200 marks. Nobody can do it. Only one person could do this. He could get 190 plus marks. Only one person. And you know what is the fate of that person? First attempt when he gave, he got selected as an IPS. But UPSC became suspicious. इतना कितना घटिया पेपर बनाया था हमने, इतने मार्क्स आ गए इसके यार. So they ordered an inquiry. Now when the inquiry was underway, he, being an IPS already under training, he again appeared for the exam, again scored 190 plus marks, and now he was caught cheating in the exam. Both time he was cheating. He did not only lose his attempt, he lost his position as well. From being an IPS, now he is dismissed from the service, barred from all UPSC exams. तो ऐसे पंगे लेने क्यों है यार? उतने मार्क्स लो, यूपीएससी भी खुश, तुम भी खुश, पास हो गए. Don't try to create history. Your names will be not written in golden letters. They will be written in dark words. So let's not try this. पढ़ा होगा तुमने इस केस के बारे में? आई गूगल करना इसको, पता चलेगा. ठीक है ना, आईपीएस ऑफिसर कॉट चीटिंग इन यूपीएससी एग्जाम, तो तुम्हें पता चलेगा. तेलंगाना रीजन की बात है ये. डन. सो ध्यान रखना, ऐसे काम नहीं करने. ठीक है ना. इतने नंबर लो कि यूपीएससी को शक ना हो भाई क्या ही कर रहे हो, पता नहीं भी क्या ही पढ़ के आए थे, इनको चेक करो, पेपर अगला इनसे सेट करा लेंगे. डन. तो बैलेंस समझ आ गया ना कैसे करना तुम लोगों ने. दिस इज मोर इंपॉर्टेंट देन एनीथिंग एल्स. सॉवरेन वर्ड क्लियर हो गया. अब लिखो सेकुलर. चलो, सेकुलर वर्ड के बारे में क्या जानते हो पहले तुम बताओ.
Saudi is a Muslim state. India is not a Hindu, Muslim, or a Sikh state. It's a secular nation. Every religion is treated as an equal.
All right. The basic definition here in Indian text is no state religion. That's the basic definition of a secular state. No state religion. Right? Now, when I say no state religion, we simply write the Republic of India, and the story ends. The story ends with the Republic of India. Done. When I talk about our neighboring country, Pakistan, even they are so-called democratic country, no? So they say Islamic Republic of Pakistan. That means the state of Pakistan has its own religion, that is Islam. But India has no religion of its own. We are a secular country. Now that's the difference of being secular and non-secular. Clear? People in India can have their religion. Now the beauty is, I say I am a Hindu, I am Indian. He say I am a Sikh, he is an Indian. He says I am an atheist, I don't believe in God, he is an Indian. The story ends. Let's go to Pakistan and say I am an atheist, I don't believe there is any Allah. They will kill me. How can you say that your state believes that there is Allah? Your prime minister believes there is Allah. And who are you to say that there is no Allah? They will kill you. Right? So this is what is meaning of secularism, no state religion. Another concept that emerges from Indian secular idea, it is Sarv Dharma Sambhava. We have same regard for all religions. We will not differentiate or discriminate either against or in favor, right, for any person of any religion. Sarv Dharam Sambhav. Ek jaisi feeling for all religions. Why? Because Article 14 of Indian Constitution talks about equality. All people in India have the same status. We all are equal citizens of India. Neither my religion, nor my caste, nor my place of birth, nor my sex, means gender, nothing will determine anything in favor or against me unless the Constitution makes a special provision. For example, Constitution can make a special provision for women reservation. Constitution can make a special provision for SC, STs and BCs and OBCs, right? There can be a discrimination. Now, what is this kind of discrimination called?
It is positive discrimination.
Great. Positive discrimination. What is the other word that is used? Affirmative action. when we give reservation on the consideration of the fact that some people have been denied something, now we have to make them equal to others. That becomes affirmative action, right? Affirmative action. We believe that the women had been subjected to much neglect, much oppression, much discrimination in the past. Because the women had been subjected to this much of discrimination in the past, now to bring them at par with the men, to give them that equality, to give them that level play field, we have to make some special provisions for them. Otherwise, if the seats are not reserved for women in elections, the husband will never allow the women to contest elections. Right? So to make sure कि भाई तुझे कराना ही पड़ेगा, अब मर भाड़ में जा, you have to do it. They said the seats are reserved for women. अभी तो पंचायत में ही है, पार्लियामेंट में, स्टेट में भी हुई नहीं है. The bill has been under consideration for very long. 33% reservation for women in parliament and state assemblies. But let's see when it happens. This shows perhaps the kind of male chauvinism that we have. कि बिल ही पास नहीं हो रहा, कि 33% reservation for women पास ही कर दो, right? And we are talking about women empowerment and everything. So it is still a long journey. It is not true that we are living in 21st century and the women have been given the status of equality. Unfortunate, but true, it has not been done so far. Clear ho gaya now what is affirmative action? What is secularism, right? Another thing here, when I talk about affirmative action, so I did something in favor of a weaker section or a vulnerable section or an oppressed section in society. But when I did this good thing even, it had a bad impact as well. Now that bad impact is called reverse discrimination. Reverse discrimination. Now what is reverse discrimination?
For us, like the general category, they can call it as a reverse discrimination.
Yes. As a man, as a male, I will say, you reserved a seat for women. Had it been equality, you should have said, anybody can contest. A woman or a man, anybody could come and contest. Then why you specifically give it to women? You discriminate against me. You do not allow a man to contest on this seat. Let it be an open competition. Whosoever has the merit, whosoever has the talent, let them win. Keep it open. Let women and men both contest. By keeping something for someone specifically, you are denying it to the others. That is reverse discrimination. Is it clear? So let me open the chat box because it has been quite some time. So yes, guys, all these concepts clear? Affirmative action, reverse discrimination, secular, Sarav Dharma Sambhava. Great, thank you. Affirmative action is to undo the wrong done in the past. To undo the wrong done in the past is affirmative action. Now, there is another thing which we will not discuss today, but I will give you an example only so that when you understand that in the advanced courses where we will be going forward to. There is a difference between the Indian idea of secularism and the Western idea of secularism. What is that difference? If you know anyone.
Sir, does this concern the uniform civil code?
To some extent, but not exactly.
The interference of state into religion because of the prevailing social ills.
There is a concept called equidistance and principled distance. Have you heard that? There are two things, equidistant and principled distance, right? Europe, West, they are based on the idea of equidistance. Whatever is your religion, it is your religion. The state has no role to play in it. Because we have no role to play in it, we have no concern with it, we do not want you to show your religion to everyone. That is your private affair now. If I am a Hindu, then what is the use of putting this tilak here and moving around in the markets? If I am a Muslim, why I want to wear that hijab or that burqa or anything? If I am a Sikh, why I want to show my turban to everyone? If I am a Christian, why I want to wear a big cross outside in the market? So if you believe in any religion, keep it to your private place. Either you do it in your home or you do inside your religious establishment. If you are a Sikh, you want to go to Gurdwara, please wear your turban, go there, worship, come out, that is it. Now that is why in European countries like France, there is always a problem. Sikhs cannot wear turban, Muslims cannot wear their burqa and things like that. So they say, we have no concern with you. We will not interfere in your religious practices, but just keep them to your life, personal life, private life. Don't bring to the public life. That is it. In India, we say, see, we give you all the liberty to follow your tenets. If a Sikh person believes that he has to wear a turban, he must wear the turban. If a Sikh person believes that he has to wear that kirpan, we allow that. Otherwise, carrying arms in India is not allowed. But because your religious tenets say you that you can wear a kirpan, we allow you. Done. But now we have to maintain the public order as well, the decency, the morality in the society as well. And beyond that, we have to ensure few more things so that this society must remain a civilized society. So we give all the liberty to these Hindus. Whatever you want to do, you want to keep fast, you want to go for pilgrimage, you want to do this, keep doing things. But when you come and tell us now that women cannot enter the temples, we are sorry, we have to pass a law. We will interfere in your religion. There is a principled distance. Till the time it is not causing any nuisance in the society, or till the time it is not causing any sort of discrimination in the society, we will not interfere in religious beliefs or practices. But where we see that it is causing some kind of problem to us, we will come and hand it. Right? For if in India, a Hindu cannot divorce his wife without a legal proceeding, then how can a Muslim divorce his wife without a legal proceeding? So triple talaq has to be banned. Now you cannot say, no, this is my religion, state cannot interfere. Why we have to interfere? This is not just your religion. This is about the life of that woman who can be deserted by just saying talaq, talaq, talaq 3 times. So we have to interfere for that case. Now that is Indian idea of secularism, that this is principal distance. It is not equidistance. कि तुमने जो करना करो, हम नहीं interfere कर रहे. We will interfere. Who are you, the Hindus, to say that untouchables cannot enter the temples? India as a country, as a state, does not even we have no concept of untouchability. It has been banned. There is no untouchability. Then whom you are asking not to come to temples? So you cannot ask that untouchables cannot come to the temples. Everyone has a right. Now that is what Indian secularism is. Now this is how we will be teaching you in our advanced classes. Not just telling you the very basic things which are available here and there in every book. We will be taking you beyond the basics. We will be not just explaining the things, we will be empowering you so that you can use this kind of jargon, this kind of vocabulary while you write your answers. Only then you get better marks. If you write the normal things as everyone else is writing, then how will you get that special marks? Clear? So these concepts clear to everyone? Yes, online students, is it clear? Equidistance and principal distance is clear. Great, fantastic. That seems to be quite an intelligent class who can quickly understand what I try explain them. That's quite encouraging. So we have talked about 2 terms. Now we'll talk about liberalism. Next is liberalism. Now when I talk about liberalism, what do you know about liberalism? So you seem to be the only person here who can answer these questions. Tell me, what is liberalism?
So liberalism is the complete freedom of an individual without any extra restraint. That is the concept of basic wealth.
By
Sir John
Adam Smith. Right? Okay. To understand the idea of liberalism, we have to go back to the times preceding liberalism. Before we come to the world where we become familiar with liberalism, there was the period called feudalism. Right? Before we come to liberalism, there was a time of feudalism. Now, what was feudalism? What kind of society it was? There was a king. In every European country, there was a king. Now, this king was not very powerful. If I say now there was one king of entire England, that is true. But this king had not the direct control over entire England. There were his small feudal lords who can be called mini kings or minor kings. All these feudal lords thought that yes, he is little superior to us. But if they join hands, let's say 2 of them join hands, they can challenge this king as well. So king also was dependent on the feudal lords. These feudal lords had large lands under their control called the feudal estates or the fiefdoms of the feudal lords. On these lands, the people who used to work, they were like the landless labor, the common people. So they will work for their feudal lords. Now, when these people used to work for the feudal lords, they were more like the bonded labor. If you are working in the field for cultivation, good, but in case there is a war, you will automatically join the army. So you are trained for everything. You can be used as the labor in the field and you can be used as a soldier in the field. Now, when people were dependent on them, people had no rights at all. They cannot say no to the feudal lord. Why? Because king said that in my country, all the feudal lords have feudal privileges. Feudal privileges. Only they have the privilege. Now, when I say that there is a privilege, let me give you an example. If I say that any of my student can call me and ask me doubts, any of you can come to my room and ask me about your doubts, or you can discuss your problems and get the solutions. That means you all have the right. You all have the right to have access to me. If I say no, you just cannot come to my room, you cannot text me or call me. Okay, you can have. Now that's the privilege. It is for special few people that you give privileges. For ordinary people, there are nothing but only and only duties. You have obligations. These poor people who have no land of their own, they have duties and duties only. They have to work for the feudal lord. They have to manage their fields. They have to earn money for them without claiming their share in it. And they have to pay taxes to the king, to the feudal lords, and to the church. So they had no right. Nobody is going to protect them. If a feudal lord end up killing anyone, nobody will ask him even. You kill someone, that's okay. You are the feudal lord. You have a privilege. So you killed. There must be a reason, and that reason itself is good, even if it is not explained. Now that was the feudal society. In this feudal society, as I was telling you yesterday for French Revolution, it was only 2% of the people who were privileged. 98% of the people were common people. But trust me, out of these 98% people, not everyone is a poor labor. There must be some people who believe in the ideas of trade and commerce, the merchants and traders who have some money. Because they make money, but they have no privileges, they were made to pay heavy taxes, very heavy taxes. And they had no status in the society. They were treated like the common people, the ants on the ground, right? Now, these people who were rich, they had money, they could also get education. Because they are rich, they will get education. Now, these rich, educated people, they became a new class in a society. If there was top 2% called the privileged class and otherwise 98% of the people were called the commoners, this educated class became the educated middle class. So now we have a new class, educated middle class. They are rich people, they are educated people, they are aware, they are awakened, they want to get their fair share of rights. Why rights? Because if everyone will start getting it, it will no more be privileges. So they bring up the idea of rights, that give us rights. Why should we not have the same privileges which they have? And when privileges are given to more people, then they become rights. So this educated middle class is the harbinger of that idea of liberalism. They are the same writers: Montesquieu, Voltaire, Rousseau, John Locke, Adam Smith, Mary Wollstonecraft, you name anyone. They are the educated middle class of Europe in the 17th, 18th centuries. Right? Talk about John Locke, Hobbes, Rousseau, whosoever, the social contractualists, the liberal ideas, they are the ones who are bringing the new idea that we should have the same respect in the society. Right? Now, this educated middle class will give new theories, new ideas, and new philosophies. So the best philosophy they could come up with was the idea of social contract theory. Have you heard about this social contract theory? You too must have. How about others? आज की क्लास है ही पॉलिटी की, तो पॉलिटिकल साइंस वाले की तो चांदी होनी आज. कल इकोनॉमी की हो जाएगी तो सारे चुप होकर बैठ जाओगे, कॉमर्स वाले थोड़े आगे आ जाएंगे. हु आर फ्रॉम इकोनॉमिक्स बैकग्राउंड? चलो, वेरी गुड. तब तू कल भी बोल देना. फिर एथिक्स की क्लास शुरू होगी, फिर इसमें साइकोलॉजिकल वर्ड्स आएंगे, फिर तुम थोड़ी देर चुप कर जाना. Poonam, which two terms are you talking about? Beta, I haven't explained any term yet. All right. So social contract theory, write about it something. This is a very beautiful theory for liberalism, to understand liberalism and even to understand the idea of democracy, like how the idea evolved. There are three prominent names associated with this social contract theory. Three prominent names. One is Thomas Hobbes, from England. Other is John Locke, again from England. And third is J.J. Rousseau from France. Right? They are called the three social contractualists. Three social contractualists. Let's start with his idea, right? He says, see, he's living in a time when there was absolute monarchy. King had all the powers, and there were feudal lords and everyone. Now, here is Thomas Hobbes. He wrote a book by the name of Leviathan. His book is Leviathan, in which he talks about his idea of social contract. He said, we have to understand that why we need authority, first of all. Why we need someone who should rule over us. Why can't we live otherwise, happily otherwise? So he said, okay, let's go back in time. He went back to a time to which he gave the name of state of nature. State of nature. There was a time, now this is perhaps a hypothetical time, or we can say it is a time of early man. State of nature. It is called a pre-state society. That people were there, but there was no state as such, no prime minister, no king, nobody. We were living like the early man. Everyone was equal, perhaps there. Now he said that in this state of nature, that pre-state society, people had three natural rights. Right to life. Everyone has right to life now. If nature gave me birth, only nature can kill me. How can I come and kill you, or you can come and kill me? Right to life. Right to liberty. I should have freedom of movement as well. Now, nobody should say me, you can't do this, you can't do that. Fine. And right to property. Now, what is property? John Locke will explain it in a very beautiful way. He will say, with anything I mixes my labor. When I mix my labor with anything, it becomes my property. Now, there is so much of sand or so much of soil here all around. It is available to all of us. You are doing nothing. I go, I put my labor, I dig it, and then I make it a clay, and then I make it a pot. Now, whose pot is it? It is my property. I mix my labor with it. He comes and says, give it to me. I will say, why should I give it to you? Otherwise, you want it, give me some money and take it. Now, if he says, no, I will not give you anything, but I will take it away because I'm powerful. Now, that's sheer abuse of authority or power. So it has to be that if I mix my labor, I should have possession of it. No? Nobody should have a right to take it away from me. That is right to property. If I work from morning to evening, keep standing, keep speaking, and I get money from you, then that is my right. Right? I work for it. I should have that money in my hand. And then somebody comes and say, okay, give me money. Why? Even when government of India says, no, give us tax, I feel, why? I work, why should I pay tax? And then they have to give me a justification. See, we will arrange things for you. And then I say, okay, so you are asking me to pay for these facilities. Okay, take the money from me. Done. So this is my property. Now he said, these are the natural rights given to the people in the state of nature. But the problem is, because here there is no authority. We are living in a state of nature. Now this is a state of constant warfare. We all fight with each other because we want to get the same thing. Let's take an example. There is a tree on which there are so many mangoes, ripe mangoes. I want to climb that tree and have a mango, but I'm a little greedy as well. Let's keep a share for future as well. But then there is a fear among you all. Here, if he keep climbing it, he know the art of climbing, then he will take away all the apples and he will not give it to us. So one fine day when I come down, 3 or 4 of you will come and beat me and take away my mangoes. Now my natural right has been violated, but at the same time, I am also violating your natural right by taking extra share, which you should have also got. So that's the problem. Now, fair distribution is a very difficult task. We all are very selfish. We are very greedy people. Because this is also a basic nature of mankind, according to Thomas Hobbes. He's painting a very pessimistic kind of a thing, that we are greedy, we are selfish, we are nasty, we are brutish, we like fighting with each other. So he said these natural rights are always under a threat because of this kind of a constant warfare. We all are at war with each other. मैं अपने एप्पल लेके भाग रहा हूँ, छुपा रहा हूँ, तुम मेरे पीछे भाग रहे हो. There is always a possibility of a damage being done in this case. And for generations, it went like this, right? It went like this. But one fine day, we all agreed, this is very uncivilized way of life. Let's sit, let's make some basic rules of society. That day we sat together, and no, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, this boy, what's your name? Raghav stood up. Raghav said, see, what I find a solution is that all of us have to surrender our natural rights to a custodian, to a guardian. Someone from among us, from us only, someone should become that authority who should have the responsibility to preserve our rights. He should be given that authority that he should preserve our rights, right? Otherwise, so we'll keep fighting with each other. And he said, see, I propose that we can give these rights to Raj sir. Raj sir can be a sovereign in that case. Fine, he can be a sovereign, but I will give my rights to Raj sir only and only on one condition, that all of us will agree to give our rights to Raj sir. If all of us will give our rights to Raj sir, then Raj sir is the king or the authority or the sovereign power, but with an obligation to preserve our rights. He is not getting authority over us. He is getting authority plus responsibility. That means he will protect us from each other. Now, this is democracy. Before this, what we were being told, king is divine. He is the incarnation of God because he is God representative. How can you challenge the authority of the king? But today, what Hobbes is telling us, king is not divine. Kingship is, or state per se, is a man-made institution. We agreed one day to create a state, and then we made a state for one particular task: protect ourselves and preserve our rights. Now, if this state fails, then what? If I cannot protect your rights, then you have the right to go against me as well. Now, the beginning by Hobbes was taken forward or carried forward by John Locke. He said, yes, it is true that there was a state of nature, but trust me, we human beings are very good. We are not that bad otherwise, that we always envy each other. We try to, kill each other or take away each other's things. We are good at heart otherwise. The human beings are very good. We have empathy. We have that feeling of philanthropy as well, compassion. All these are human nature. Fine. But yes, there are always few antisocial elements in the society. We all are not criminals by default. Na? But yes, there are few people who are by choice criminals. They have that kind of a mentality. Now, even if there is a single person who is of a criminal bent of mind, he can be a threat to the entire peace-loving society. When he can be a threat to the entire peace-loving society, we need someone to hold on to him, to get hold of him. That means, yes, we need a security. For that security, we need an authority. So we have to make a contract. Now, how to make this contract? Let all of us sit together here again. As Hobbes make us sit, Locke make us sit. Let's all of us sit together. Let's first make first rule of the society. Let's become a civilized society. Define what is civilized and what is uncivilized. This is social contract. First contract. We all sat and we decided the things. This is good and this is bad. This can be tolerated. This cannot be tolerated. Talking to a girl is tolerated. Molesting a girl is not tolerated. Simple. Let's make the rules now. If a boy come and talk to a girl, that's acceptable. Okay. But how can a boy molest a girl? That's unacceptable. So one who talks to a girl in a decent manner, that's civilized way. One who tries to molest a girl is uncivilized way. So one who will do this, he needs to be punished. Now, if I give this authority to everyone, that yes, you can punish anyone, then it is constant warfare. इसने ये कर दिया, इसने ये कर दिया, उसने किया था, उसने किया था, सब लड़ेंगे. Then it will be unorganized, uncivilized society. So let's create an authority. Now that we have agreed on the basics, that what is civilized, what is not civilized, what is right, what is wrong, he said, now you civilized people choose your authority, that whom you want to give these rights to. Now this is very basic rule of democracy. Now that you have agreed that you have an authority who will be protecting your rights, your liberties, you will be making you feel secure here, you still have one more right. Even if you surrender your rights to the authority, you preserve one right with you. You can fight against this authority if it fails in its obligation, right? That means you can change the government if you don't like. By having two contracts, first the social contract and then the political contract. First social and then the political contract. You know what you have done? Hobbes said there is only one contract. You sit and you create the state. Now, if you go out of that contract, you go back into the state of nature where there is constant warfare. Whereas Locke says, no, it will not happen like that. From an unorganized society, you first make a social contract where you agree that what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And then you make the second contract, political contract, where you choose an authority. Now, if the authority fails and you revolt against the authority, you are not going directly into the state of nature. You come back to the social contract stage. You already know that what is right, what is wrong. You can choose a new authority. For 10 years, we thought Congress is great. Manmohan Singh ji is wonderful. We kept him our prime minister for 2 consecutive terms. And then we realized, no, यहाँ पे तो बड़ी problem हो गई, अब तो हमें अच्छे दिन चाहिए. And then we said, okay, let's try Modi ji. फिर हमें बहुत ही अच्छे दिन लगे, फिर हमने एक बार और ही चुन लिया. अभी यार ये तो सही चल रहा है काम. अब बाकी 24 में देखते हैं अच्छे दिन कंटिन्यू होंगे कि नहीं होंगे. ऐसा ही हुआ ना इस बार तो. डन. सो कॉन्सेप्ट समझ आ गया सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का. व्हाट इज सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, नाउ हाउ इट क्रिएट्स डेमोक्रेसी. अब मैं तुम्हें ना, मैं पॉलिटी के लेक्चर में, व्हाइल टॉकिंग अबाउट पॉलिटी, लेट मी इंट्रोड्यूस पार्ट ऑफ एथिक एज वेल. फॉर दैट आइडिया ना, व्हिच आई कीप हार्पिंग ऑन, लाइक ओ भाई इंटरकनेक्टिविटी, इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी, मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो मैं तुम्हें नया काम करके दिखाता हूं. Social contractualists said, yes, we have to first define the parameters where it is good and bad. We have to understand, and accordingly, we have to make the rules in society. Now, there is a concept given by Jeremy Bentham called utilitarianism. There is a concept of utilitarianism given by Jeremy Bentham. How many of you have heard about it? Very good. Can you please explain?
It's a maximum benefit and use of society.
Greatest good of the greatest number. That's the basic definition. Greatest good of the greatest number. We are sitting here. For the time being, I become a subject for you, right? An example for you. I am uncivilized. I am kind of antisocial. So you all are otherwise genuinely civilized people. So there is a situation. Nobody can trespass into your house. Without your permission, nobody can enter your house. You want this or you want the other way around? तुम में से कोई चाहता है कि किसी के घर में कोई भी आ जा सके कभी भी बिना पूछे? कोई नहीं चाहता ऐसा. जैसे कि मैं आज शाम को, मेरा दिल करे मैं इसके घर जाके बैठ जाऊं अंदर इसके ड्राइंग रूम में, क्या हो गया यार, सो व्हाट. मेरा दिल करे मैं इसके घर जाके बैठ जाऊं भी, चलो यार खाना खाते हैं इकट्ठे बैठ के. सो यू डोंट वांट दिस ना, आई वांट दिस. डन. तुम में से कोई ऐसा है जो ये चाहता है कि कोई भी लड़का, एनी बॉय कैन मोलेस्ट एनी गर्ल? कोई चाहता है? मैं चाहता हूं. फॉर द टाइम बिंग मैं चाहता हूं. रिमेंबर आई हैव 2 daughters, आई डोंट वांट इट. ठीक है, ऑलराइट. तीसरा एग्जांपल, तुम में से कोई चाहता है कोई किसी के भी पैसे लेके भाग जाए, किसी का भी सामान उठा के भाग जाए? एनी थेफ्ट इज अलाउड इन दिस सोसाइटी? मैं चाहता हूं, मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगता है. अब ग्रेटेस्ट गुड ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट नंबर करना है. तुम्हें जो चीजें पसंद नहीं है वो अलाउड नहीं होनी चाहिए. एंड थिंग्स दैट यू लाइक दे शुड बी अलाउड. मैं अकेला हूं, जो मुझे पसंद है वो नहीं हो रहा, तो क्या ही हो गया? ग्रेटेस्ट गुड द ग्रेटेस्ट नंबर करना था ना. स्टेट का काम ही होना चाहिए था. What is the responsibility, what is the role of the state to ensure the greatest good of the greatest number, maximum happiness for the maximum people? If there are few people who are not happy with the rules and regulations of the state, that's obvious why they are not. That is obvious now. Why they are not? Because they are not civilized people. They do not agree to the rules of this civilization. They want to do something uncivilized. How can state allow them? Otherwise, this society will become all traumatic society. So where is the difference between the ideas of John Locke or ideas of Jeremy Bentham? Aren't they synced with each other? Now talk about paper 2, polity and governance. What is good governance? To ensure this only, na? That the wrongdoers in the society must be stemmed. They must not be given that space that they can continue doing the wrong things in society. Ho gaya clear? The concepts are clear? All right. Anyone else having any doubt here? Okay, you want to see how many students are sitting in the class? Let me show that. And that's a wonderful thing. I hope that is sufficient for you to see how many students are there in the class. Yes, Ritu, you can. All right, Ji. So social contract is clear. Now there is a name of John Rawls. He gives the idea of justice, a very different idea of justice. So can anybody tell me that idea of justice by John Rawls? John Rawls and his idea of justice. Anyone?
So he advocated three methods like right to property. Like one of the method was rectification.
थोड़ा elaborate. हाँ जी मैम, आप चलो एक काम करते हैं, लेट्स गूगल जॉन रॉल्स आइडिया ऑफ जस्टिस. गूगल करते हैं, सब लोग करो. हाँ, अब तुम ठीक आ गए. चलो छोड़ो, इसने वर्ड बोल दिया तो अब मैं तुम्हें पढ़ा देता हूँ. आज मैं तुम्हें जॉन रॉल्स का आइडिया ऑफ जस्टिस, लेट मी एक्सप्लेन दिस आइडिया इन अ वेरी बेसिक, वेरी वेरी क्रूड वे, राइट, so that you understand what justice basically should be like. He talks about the idea called original position. Let's imagine a situation, all of us sitting here in this class, online, offline. Let's imagine a situation. None of us is still a human being, right? We all are in a stage of being in the world of spirits. हम मानते नहीं पैदा होने से पहले आत्माएं हैं, right? So we are in the state of being spirits. We all are sitting here and we don't know when we are going to take birth and go to this world. God has not yet told us anything because we are in a state of spirits, being spirits. So I am addressing you audience today. We all are spirits. So I'm asking you, none of us knows that will we be born as a boy or a girl? Am I going to be a healthy man or a crippled man or a woman for that matter? Am I going to be an educated one or uneducated one? Am I going to be born in a rich family or a poor family? Am I going to be born in a city or a village? I know nothing about what kind of life I will get once I will take birth. Now tell me, if given a choice today, what kind of world you want to go to? What kind of world you look forward to? कैसे होगा वो better? So I want that if I am born a boy, I should have the same respect and same rights and same privileges and same dignity. If I born as a girl as well, if I'm born rich or if I'm born poor, if I'm this, if I'm that, I'm a human being. I should have the same rights ना. क्या ही problem है फिर? ये सोसाइटी तुमसे वैसे क्यों नहीं बन जाती?
We will place ourselves in a least advantage.
हाँ, उस पे जाते हैं ना अभी पहले ऐसी हो सकती है सोसाइटी. लीस्ट एडवांटेज पे बाद में आते हैं. It can be like this ना, that we should all have the same rights. We should have all same rights. Now there is a possibility that someone is weak, little weak amongst us. So don't you think that only they have some special rights or privileges, not all of us? It shouldn't be like if I am rich, by paying money I can get a seat in a college. Yes, if I come from a poor family, there should be a privilege that I can get scholarship if I am qualified for it. Now that is called privilege, real privilege. If a rich gets seat by paying money for it, it's not a privilege, that is abuse of your wealth, right? So who should have some special rights? Who should have those privileges? Those who are in a position of least advantageous position. We should not give rights or special rights or privileges to those who are already powerful, those who are already equals. It should be given who are unequal, who are backward. Now you understand the idea of reservation, right? So it is like original position where you first decide that what kind of society you want to live in. And then you decide that only they will get something special who are least privileged or who are least advantageous. The others will not get the special things. Now coming back to this question, making you understand something today. Going back into the world of spirits, the state of being spirits. If we go into this world, if I am born as a boy and I want to marry a girl, it should be seen as okay. If I'm born as a girl, I want to marry a boy, it should be seen as okay. Now, if I'm born as a boy and I want to marry a boy, why there should be a challenge to it? And I have a wife, okay, and I have 2 daughters, and I'm happily married for last 22 years. So don't doubt anything, all right? But yes, tell me now, if I want to marry a boy, being a boy, if I am a gay, then what's your problem in it? Why you want to judge me and discriminate against me? Who are you? Just imagine the opposite. If we would have been living in a world where it would have been the normal that a boy will marry a boy and a girl will marry a girl, and there I would have been a special case. As a boy, I would wanted to marry a girl. Oh, कितना cheap है ये लड़का, लड़की से शादी करेगा? छी 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 छी। उस दिन हम छी छी कर रहे होते, तो आज क्यों ऐसी बात करते हो? छी छी छी, फिर लड़का लड़के से शादी करेगा, बधाई हो, है ना? ऐसे कैसे हुआ? बिल्कुल नहीं। You have to give them the rights ना। चलो मैं तुमसे एक क्वेश्चन पूछता हूँ, बड़ा सिंपल क्वेश्चन। If you meet someone who is blind, what is your first feel? Empathy ना, तुम्हें compassion की feeling आती है, let's help them. You meet someone who is lame, तब भी same feeling आती है। लंगड़ा लूला कुछ भी हो, तुम्हें same feeling आती है ना, empathetic सी feeling आती है। How about that third gender people? किसी की आंख नहीं थी, somebody had no hand, somebody had no leg, and somebody has no genitals. तो उनको डिग्निटी क्यों नहीं दी गई? उनके साथ क्यों स्पेशल प्रोविजन नहीं क्रिएट किए गए? व्हाई दे हैड टू सफर फॉर सच अ लॉन्ग स्पैन ऑफ टाइम? कोई डिग्निटी नहीं, कोई रिस्पेक्ट नहीं, क्या ही मजाक बना दिया उन लोगों का? दे हैड एवरीथिंग लाइक एनी ऑफ अस बीइंग ह्यूमन, बट फॉर जस्ट वन पार्ट, दैट इज जेनिटल्स. सो डिड इट मेक देम समवन नॉट ह्यूमन बीइंग्स इक्वल टू अस? Why couldn't we give them the same space in this society? Why they were discriminated, living outside the towns and not getting jobs, not getting education, and then they come and dance and ask for money, and we call them they are extortionists? They are human beings. No? They have their basic needs. If I want to drive a car, even they want to drive a car. If I want to buy a Gucci or Prada for me, even they want to buy a Gucci or Prada for them. If I work and earn money, you don't give them the chance to earn money, they will come and ask money from you. You discriminated against them, they are asking money from you. Why can't you give them the same respect? Am I right? Now this is for pure paper 4 ethics as well, but it comes from political philosophy paper 2 as well. Clear? So I hope this is a learning experience. Even if we don't become an IAS officer, at least become someone who is knowledgeable, become someone who is, not just knowledgeable, who understand that what practical knowledge is and how we can make this society better. So I don't recommend students to prepare only for IAS to become IAS. Everybody will not become IAS. Let's have a first quest. Let's be knowledgeable, because knowledge will never go in drain. It will take you places. If you are knowledgeable, if you are smart, if you are hardworking, you are successful for sure. I haven't seen anyone who is not working hard and not committed being successful. And at the same time, I haven't seen anyone who is working hard and is committed and he is not successful. I give you a very small example. Let's take an example. What's your name? Keshav. Keshav, नहीं, केशव का नाम लेके नहीं करते ना, ऐसी पनौती हो जाएगी. Let's say X person is sitting here. He is very hardworking, very hardworking, and he appears for pre, he qualifies. He appears for main, he qualifies. By a mark or 2, he's not qualifying his interviews, and he has given at least 2-3 attempts now. So is he less intelligent? 2-3 नंबरों से रह गया, किस्मत की बात है ना. He is hardworking, so he is my student for last 3 years. तो मैं इसको बोल रहा हूँ X, join me, start teaching these students. Pre और main से तूने 3 बार निकाल दिया. You are a very good stuff for UPSC. You can become a teacher with me. अगर तू IAS बनता, तेरी सैलरी कितनी होती? सर 80,000 90,000. चल तू मेरे से लाख रुपया ले पढ़ा. I'm ready to give you 1 lakh rupees, and if you prove you to be a good teacher, some of my teachers are getting salary of 4 to 5 lakh rupees a month. तो अगर वो नहीं भी बने IAS, उनको क्या ही फर्क पड़ गया? They command that respect as being teachers. They are making good money and living a very good life. दिन में 1 क्लास पढ़ाते हैं, कभी होता है 2 क्लास पढ़ानी पड़ जाए, 2-2, 2.5, 3-3 लाख रुपए लेते हैं, लाइफ एंजॉय करते हैं. Any of my cousins or friends and families who are in civil services, right? Nobody can afford Audi A6. I can drive it. अगर वो लेंगे, उनके ऊपर तो ईडी आ जाएगी उनके घर पे. मेन कटा तुम्हारे पास कहाँ से इतने पैसे आए? तुमने A6 ले ली, 12 होता है, बताओ सारा तुमने कहाँ से पैसे लिए? मेरे से नहीं पूछेंगे, मैं तो यहाँ टैक्सी भर देता हूँ. सिंपल है ना. तो अगर मैं IAS नहीं बना, मेरा हार्डवर्क वेस्ट थोड़ा हो गया. I can do anything that I want to do in life. So I haven't seen people working hard and being committed who are not successful in life, as I have never seen a person who is not hardworking and is successful in life. So first, let's be hardworking, let's be knowledgeable, then success will definitely come. And this is like by a great philosopher, रणधोड़ चांजर, है ना, उसने बताया था ना ये 3 इडियट्स में, क्या नाम था उसका, रेंचो ने ना, रेंचो ने बताया था कि भाई सक्सेस तो पीछे भागेगी, तुम बस मेहनत कर लो एक बार ना, नॉलेजेबल बन जाओ. सो रन फॉर नॉलेज, यू विल बी सक्सेसफुल. कोई ना कोई एग्जाम तो क्लियर कर ही जाओगे. और अगर ऐसे ही बैठे रहे ना बस लाइफ में, कॉलेज जैसी लाइफ लीड कर गए, तो भाई फिर यही होता है, खोपचे पे खड़े होकर चाय पीते होते हैं, 2 सुट्टे मारते होते हैं और बॉस को गालियां निकाल रहे होते हैं, यार बड़ा ही घटिया आदमी है, बहुत बड़े बड़े टारगेट देता है, पता ही नहीं इसकी लाइफ में क्या ही प्रॉब्लम है, अपनी बीवी से लड़के आ जाता है, हमारी लाइफ खराब कर जाती है. अच्छा वैसे ये बीवी के साथ लड़के आके लाइफ, ये तो आईएएस में भी रहने वाली है, ऐसा नहीं कि ये वहां पे खत्म हो जाएगी. अच्छा मेरे को ना कई बार मेरा स्टाफ पूछता है, सर आप सुबह 8:30 बजे आ जाते हो, आपकी क्लास भी नहीं होती और रात को आप 8 बजे तक नहीं जाते हो, यहाँ से क्या प्रॉब्लम है. मैं क्या, बस यही प्रॉब्लम है. यहाँ पे मैं बेल मारता हूँ, पानी का गिलास पहले आता है, बाद में पूछा था हाँ सर क्या चाहिए था, मैं बोलता हूँ चाय, उसी टाइम आती है. तुम पूछ सकते हो मेरे से कि 3 बार पी ली थी, चौथी बार क्यों पीनी है. संडे को मैं घर पे दूसरी बार चाय मांगू, क्या हो गया, अभी तो पी थी. 4 घंटे हो गए, अभी तो पी थी, 4 घंटे हो गए. ऐसे ही आईएएस अफसर होते हैं, वो घर क्यों नहीं जाते, ऑफिस में वो बॉस होते हैं. जब वो ऑफिस में होते हैं ना, कोई उनके सामने चू नहीं कर रहा होता, सब बॉस है. जैसे ही बंदा घर जाता है, पहला क्वेश्चन क्या होता है, टिंडे लाए थे, मैंने सुबह मैसेज किया था, ड्राइवर भेज के मंगवा लेते और कुछ नहीं था. तो वो बंदा कहता है साला मैं ऑफिस में ठीक करते हैं वापस, फिर वो संडे को भी ऑफिस लगाते हैं, वो घर ही नहीं जाते हैं. ठीक है, एंड इट इज नॉट अगेंस्ट वाइफ. अगर मेरी वाइफ ने सुन लिया, उसने मेरा खून कर देना है, शी विल किल मी, कि तू कमीने कुछ नहीं करता है, सारा दिन घर पे बेड पे गिरा रहता है और नेटफ्लिक्स देखता रहता है. ठीक है, अब मैं तुम्हें जॉन रॉल्स करा दिया, जॉन लॉक करा दिया, एंड जर्मी बेंथम बता दिया, यूटिलिटेरियनिज्म बता दिया. अब मैंने तुम्हें साथ में बता दिया थॉमस हॉब्स के बारे में, सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के बारे में, सेक्युलरिज्म के बारे में और सोवरेनिटी के बारे में. अब इस सारी चीजों के बेसिस पे तुम लोगों ने आज घर जाके नहीं लिखना, यहीं पे लिखना है. 20 वर्ड्स ईच ऑन हॉब्स, लॉक, बेंथम एंड रॉल्स. Write 20 words each. Online students, you also try your hand. 20 words each on all these 4. Let me see how you write in spontaneity. You can keep writing for even 30 minutes, but then that will not serve the purpose. तो एक काम करते हैं, किसी एक का मेरे को बोलो, मैं बोल देता हूँ कैसे लिखना चाहिए था, बाकी तुम घर से लिख लो. हॉब्स का बोलूं कि लॉक का बोलूं? बेंथम का लिखवाऊं? बेंथम का लिखवा दूं? लिखो. Gave the idea of utilitarianism, utility से utilitarianism, which emphasizes on maximum happiness of the maximum number of people. Maximum happiness of the maximum number of people, and creates a logical yardstick for states action. कितने वर्ड्स लिखे हमने? Less than 20? Done? So if you ask me to write 200 words, I can explain it in 200 words. If you ask me to explain it in 50 words, I can do it in 50 words. If you ask me to write 1000 words essay, I can write that even. Now, how can I do this? When usually people come and ask me, sir, how to write essays, how to write good answers. So the basic answer is first acquire knowledge. If you know something only, then you can express it right now. Having no knowledge, how can you express it? So the first quest here is, in next couple of months, let's first acquire knowledge, become knowledgeable, then learn the way how to express, and then start writing answers. It cannot be like this. Now I will start writing answers, then I will become knowledgeable. I will first become knowledgeable, and then I will start writing answers. Now this is the only way, that is the civilized way of preparing for any competitive exam. We always try to do the uncivilized way. सर मुझे आंसर लिखना नहीं आता डे 1 पे. तो नहीं आता तो अच्छी बात है यार, आता तो फिर क्या ही प्रॉब्लम थी? जज ही गलत कर रहे हो तुम, तो क्राइटेरिया ही रॉन्ग लेके आए हो कि सर मेरे को जब आंसर लिखना आएगा तब मैं पढ़ना शुरू करूंगा. अच्छा चलो, any one of you, when you started your schooling, how many of you will say this, that no, I did not, right? Be very honest. How many of you took pride in writing an essay on myself? मैंने अपने बारे में लिखा था पहली बार उस दिन. I am a boy. I have one sister. My father was never a doctor, but I wrote my father is a doctor. We all wrote it. हम सबने किया था ना? I have many friends. सबने किया ना? And we took pride in it. If given a chance, how will you write essay today on myself? Obviously, much better than what you wrote as a class 1 student, and much more improvised, much more fanciful, and much more, high vocabulary and whatnot. And then you can make paragraphs like me as a social person, me as a political person, me as an economic person, me as a philanthropist, me as a religious person. Now you can make paraphrasing as well. Now so you can do wonders. You can make flowcharts as well. You can make diagrams as well. You can explain the graph of my life. For first 10 years, I was not doing anything. I was totally dependent on others. Then from 10 to 20, I acquired skills. At 20 onwards, I started looking for some kind of independent occupation. By 24, 25, I was established or settled. I started my journey. And this time, the graph is here. Now, so you can do so many things. Now imagine as a class 1 student, could you think all this? Me as a political person, me as an economic person. So is it now. Now you start preparing. In a couple of days, you will be writing very good answers and very good essays. If somebody would have asked me to write an essay on Apple one fine day, initially, what best I could have done? Apple. They come in 3-4 colors: golden apple, red apple, pink apple. Apples are from Kashmir and Kinnaur and things like this. Today, what I will do, I will say, okay, geography of apple. We need to have this much of height from the sea level for good crop of apple to be harvested. We need this much of mean temperature, this much of mean rainfall in that area, right? In the soil, these nutrients should be available. Economy of apple, this much of apple is imported or exported from India and to India, which brings or takes away this much of forex from India. Science of apple, apple is rich in calcium, apple is rich in iron, apple is rich in vitamin C, trace minerals, and this, and thus it is said, apple a day keep doctor away. Now I can make geography of apple, economy of apple, science of apple, English of apple. What can't I do now? पर ये कब होगा? जब मुझे इकोनॉमी की नॉलेज होगी, ज्योग्राफी की नॉलेज होगी, मैं ऐसे कैसे बता दूंगा कितना मीन टेम्परेचर चाहिए एप्पल क्रॉप के लिए? So first thing is become knowledgeable. Once you are knowledgeable, who can stop you from being successful? तो कल तुम्हारी क्लास में अब एथिक्स की क्लास है. मैंने इसलिए आज एथिक्स के कुछ इंट्रोड्यूस कर दिए टॉपिक्स, so that now tomorrow there is a continuity of it. So sir will talk about ethics, like what is ethics, what is attitude, aptitude, and things like that. Done. So 2 classes done. I hope you are enjoying these classes. आज के लिए तुम्हें बहुत सिंपल टास्क दे रहा हूं. जो तुम्हें कोई भी ऐसे लिखने का मन कर रहा हो, any essay, write any essay from either UPSC previous year papers or an essay from, let's say, any essay given under the sun. ना कहीं से भी उठा लो ऐसे टॉपिक. 100 वर्ड्स का ऐसे लिखना, अभी 1000 वर्ड्स का नहीं. पहले 100 वर्ड्स लिख के देखें हम क्या लिखते हैं. और जो यूपीएससी के ऐसे आते हैं बड़े खतरनाक आते हैं. हिस्ट्री हैज मच टू टीच अस. तो देखो ढूंढ के ऐसा ऐसे कैसे लिखोगे, वेयर फ्रॉम वेयर यू विल स्टार्ट. एक तुम्हें आइडिया देता हूं. लेट्स से कि तुम्हें ड्रग अब्यूज के ऊपर ऐसे आ जाए. यू आर आस्क्ड टू राइट एन essay on drug abuse, the issue of drugs. Instead of starting writing an essay, let's, अच्छा देखो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज क्या है. मुझे तुम्हें क्लास में बिठा के रखना है 2 घंटे 3 घंटे. अगर मैं सिर्फ कोर्स पढ़ाता ही जाऊंगा ना, पढ़ाता ही जाऊंगा और बीच में कोई डिस्कशन नहीं होगी, मैं तुमसे कोई हंसी मजाक नहीं करूंगा, तुम थक जाओगे, तुम्हारा ध्यान टूट जाएगा. तुम मुझे आंसर लिख के दो, बड़ा ही मोनोटोनस आंसर है, मैं कैसे उसको पढ़ लूँ. 200 वर्ड पढ़ना मेरे लिए हेडेक हो गया, तो मैं 1200 वर्ड्स का ऐसे कैसे पढ़. पहले तो तुम मेरे को अट्रैक्ट करो कि मैं तुम्हारा पूरा ऐसे पढ़ूं, फिर मैं तुम्हें मार्क्स दूंगा. यू हैव टू डू समथिंग वेरी स्मार्ट. सो इफ आई एम टू राइट एन essay on this thing, drug abuse, I will say that today morning when I pick up newspaper, I read that a young boy died of drug overdose, and suddenly my wife came and told me, you read that story? The boy lives in the next door only, in the neighborhood only, in the near neighborhood. I was very tense. I have children of the same age group. As a father, I am very tense. Now I decided to explore that what is the issue behind this drug abuse. So I thought, let me meet different stakeholders. I wanted to meet the family of the child. I want to understand that what was the problem in the family life that he was forced to use to do drugs. I wanted to meet his peer group, his friends. I wanted to meet his teachers. I wanted to meet his parents. I wanted to meet different people. I wanted to see a doctor to understand that what are the remedies available in the rehabilitation center. I wanted to meet a police officer to see that what police action is being contemplated. I wanted to meet a lawyer to understand the legal procedures. I wanted to meet a judge to understand that how they will deal with these situations. I want to meet a legislator to know that when laws will be made to check this abuse. Now in every para, I will talk about a different person. I met one stakeholder and understood these are the challenges. I met the second stakeholder, understood these are the challenges. Now my examiner is so much glued into it that what family will bring forth, what a judge will bring forth, what a policeman will bring forth, what a legislator will bring forth. Now he is glued to my essay. He will genuinely read it with interest, and if I can satisfy him today, I will get the best marks. Right? So essay writing itself is an art where you have to bring forth a kind of story, and you cannot write story for everything. You cannot write a story on Chandrayaan now. You cannot say, na, one fine day while looking at the sky, I oh, there is a rocket going on and I thought, let me catch hold of it and I will fly with it. No, you can't do it. So you have to see that where you can use this method of story narration to your examiner, where he keep himself glued to your essay. Then, so we will keep sharing these kind of tips here and there in between the classes, so that one fine day you start writing good answers. All right. So with this, the class is over. As decided, we'll first have doubt session here and then on the online students. Anything you want to ask?
Sir, I wanted to ask about John Locke's philosophy.
John Locke's philosophy. He said that if you make a government, you make the government for one purpose, that is to preserve your rights. Now, if the government fails in it, you have a right to revolt against the government. Right? If the government is oppressive, you can revolt.
And wherein we had three rights: right to property, right to life, and right to
property, liberty.
liberty. So
Even John Locke says the same. Even Rousseau says the same. It is only an improvement over the three. Let's take an example. If I have to write 20 words on Hobbes, I will say the first to give the idea of social contract, where he ended up giving an idea that state is not divine but a man-made institution. When I talk about Locke now, I will say improving on the idea of Hobbes' social contract, he gave a new idea of man's right to revolt against an oppressive regime. Right? This is how I will change, interplay with the words. Hanji sir, all clear? No doubts? डर लग गया आज थोड़ा सा? Your face is revealing, थोड़ा सा डर लगा कि ये क्या ही चली जा रहा है क्लास में आज, कौन कौन से लोगों के नाम आगे सुने भी नहीं थे पहले? नहीं सुने ना? मैम हो गए सर, यहीं से क्लियर हो गया। माउंटेन ड्यू पिएगी आज? क्यों पीते हैं माउंटेन ड्यू? डर के आगे जीत है। पहले तो तेरा डर खत्म करना पड़ेगा ना। मैं ना उस दिन किसी को एक एग्जाम्पल दे रहा था, because at one point of time in my life I decided that I will prepare for this exam and I will become knowledgeable. So I ended up doing it. IAS तो नहीं बना, फिर क्या हो गया, but knowledge acquire कर ली। अब मैं घर जाता हूँ ना कभी, so I have two girls. बड़ी वाली बेटी मेरी फाइनल ईयर ग्रेजुएशन में, छोटी वाली अभी 11th क्लास में है। तो पिछले 4-5 सालों की बता रहा हूँ। तो छोटी वाली को बड़ा शौक हो गया, उसने ना MUNs करने शुरू कर दिए, and she became a very very active member in Chandigarh for Model United Nations. So one fine day I went home and she said, "Papa," मैं कहा हाँ जी, कहती मुझे फिनलैंड मिला इस बार। मैंने पहले फिनलैंड की उसको 4 बातें बता दी, फिर उसको बोलती मुझे ना इसके ऊपर मिला है, डिसआर्मामेंट के ऊपर। मैंने उसके बारे में 4 बातें बोल दी एंड शी वाज सो हैप्पी। बापू ਨੂੰ ਆਂਦਾ यार कुछ ਐਵੇਂ नहीं किसी कमला ਜਿਹਾ बापू रखे ਆਪਾਂ करे ना कि ठीक है अभी you ask for a thing and he knows a lot of it। फिर इनके ना एक स्कूल फ्रेंड्स ने ग्रुप बनाया एंड दे ऑल वर एस्पायरिंग कि हम ना ग्रेजुएशन के लिए आईवी लीग जाएंगे। सो इन्होंने खुद ही सर्च किया इंटरनेट पे बैठ के, कुछ फ्रेंड्स ने, एंड एक बंदा ढूंढ लिया जो आईवी लीग के लिए इनको गाइड करेगा। दैट पर्सन इज इन यूएस। तो उसने बोला जी आप $100 डिपॉजिट करोगे तो मैं आपके साथ 1 घंटे का सेशन लूंगा, ब्रिंग योर फैमिलीज अलोंग एंड ऑनलाइन सेशन होगा, आई विल गाइड यू एवरीथिंग। तो हम अराउंड 7-8 फैमिलीज थी, हमने सबने $100 डिपॉजिट किए कि बताओ जी हमारे बच्चों को आईवी लीग के बारे में, जाते हैं हार्वर्ड हुवर्ड, ठीक है चले जाएं। अब बैठे हैं जी, तो वो बंदा आगे शुरू करता है जी, आई वॉज बॉर्न इन स्वाजीलैंड एंड यू नो परहैप्स यू विल नॉट बी नोइंग एनीथिंग अबाउट दैट। अब किसी का माइक ऑन नहीं, मैंने ऑन किया, मैं कहा यार साउथ अफ्रीका, द जुलू वॉर एंड वेयर महात्मा गांधी गॉट हिज मेडल्स, द जुलू वॉर मेडल, एंड ही वाज ओह यू नो एवरीथिंग अबाउट स्वाजीलैंड। हवा करी जाता पंजाबी अगे यार तेन अकल नहीं है। मेरी कुड़ी अगे तो मेरी बेइज्जती कराने लगा कि बापू नहीं आता, पंजाबी का नहीं चुप रहने लगा। उसको चलो क्या ही समझ आना था, मैं भी धीरे से ही बोल रहा था ये तो ਲੈ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤੂੰ ਐਵੇਂ ਸਮਝਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿਸੇ ਕਮਲੀਆਂ ਸੀ। बट देन yes my girl was so proud, next day she went to school and said papa every girl was saying हमारे पापा को कुछ नहीं पता था यार, तेरे पापा को ही पता था। at least as a father I become a hero। मुझे बड़ी खुशी मिलती है मेरी बेटी को, वाह पापा आपको पता बेटा कोई बात नहीं ना। मैं ब्लश कर रहा होता हूँ उस टाइम, मेरी वाइफ मुझे देख रही होती है हाँ ठीक है कर ले तू जो करना है। तो नॉलेजेबल तो बन ही जाओ यार, डर से तो नहीं नॉलेज मिलने वाली। यू हैव टू कॉन्कर योर फियर्स। आज अगर तू ये सोच के क्लास से बाहर जाए कि आज घर जाके मैं 4 लोगों को ये बताऊंगी, तो एक तो तू भूलेगी नहीं इसको दोबारा कभी भी। जगह बोलिए पता भी है हॉब्स ने क्या किया था, सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दी थी, उससे मैन मेड स्टेट का आइडिया आया था, किसी को नहीं पता होना। इसके 2 फायदे, रिविजन भी हो गई, एक जो तेरे को पढ़ने से रोकने वाले थे वो तेरे से दूर हो जाएंगे, ये तो पागल जैसी बातें करनी शुरू हो गई, ये पागल हो गई अब इससे नहीं बात करनी। इफ यू वांट टू गेट रिड ऑफ योर अननेसेसरी फ्रेंड्स, वो कभी भी आके बोले ना और बता, कहना तू बता कार्ल मार्क्स का आइडिया क्या था। अगर पता है तो बैठ, नहीं पता तो निकल, और नहीं निकलना तो बैठ मैं बताता हूँ कार्ल मार्क्स ने कैसे सोशलिज्म से कम्युनिज्म का आइडिया दिया। व्हाट इज डिक्टेटरशिप ऑफ प्रोलेटेरिएट, स्पेलिंग आते हैं? नहीं निकल निकल अब तू बेटा, अब मैं बताऊंगी तुझे कि कार्ल मार्क्स के बाद ग्रैमशी का आइडिया भी क्या था। ब्रैग नहीं कर रहा, बेसिकली बता रहा हूँ कि मेरे फ्रेंड्स मेरे से फालतू बात नहीं करते अब कोई भी, उनको पता उन्होंने बाशु को नहीं मारा। अच्छा ये होता है यूक्रेन क्राइसिस का आगे क्या होगा, रशिया विड्रॉ करेगा नहीं, कहता मुझे बताना जा फिर मैं तेरे से मिलके क्या करना है। डोंट वेस्ट माय टाइम, आई हैव ओनली 1 day फॉर वेस्टिंग टाइम, दैट इज सैटरडे इवनिंग, दैट इज इट। आई कैन गो विद यू टू एनी क्लब, वी कैन सिट, वी कैन डांस, वी कैन, I will don't drink, we will sit, I will enjoy, I'm the only friend, like in my friends, I'm the only person who take milkshake in a beer world, the great beer. I can take a milkshake there. I don't mind that. And I am much high than them after having a milkshake, right? I can dance for 10 hours. They cannot dance and match that. So I am high on knowledge. तो मैं चाहता हूँ तुम सबको भी हाई ऑन नॉलेज होना है. बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है लाइफ में. हमें ना सिखाया नहीं गया बेटा, हमारे घर में कभी बताया नहीं गया था कि नॉलेज की इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है. I don't want my girls to sit on a table and talk about Sidnas. I don't want them to talk about Big Boss. No, no, no. When I sit with them, I am proud today. My girls can use the vocabulary like elder one asked me, Papa, what is the problem of Naxalites? And the younger one says, you can define it in one word, and that is deprivation. They have been deprived of the basic rights, and that is why they have picked up their arms. And it gives me immense feeling of pride in fact कि यार बच्चे कितने प्यार से बात कर रहे हैं ना. मैं अपने किसी फ्रेंड के घर जाऊं, फैमिली में जाऊं, वहां पे क्या ही बात होती है, क्रिकेट मैच हो रहा है, आईपीएल हो रहा है, पास मंगवा लो, ये कर लो, क्या बकवास चल रही है जिंदगी में यार. ठीक है, these things are important. I'm not saying these things are not important, but not at the cost of your future and the security of life in future. One of my friends, Prem Singh Malik, he's an IRS officer. Now he's a Joint Commissioner in Enforcement Directorate. When he got selected, now I was sitting with him only in front of the press. So एक जर्नलिस्ट ने पूछा, Mr. Malik, what would be your message to the youngsters? He's a hardcore हरियाणवी from सोनीपत, so थोड़ा उसका टच भी वैसे रहता है. तुम कहाँ से? चंडीगढ़ से कोई नहीं होता, मैं कितने सालों से बता रहा हूँ. सबका पिछोकड़ कहीं और से होता है. चंडीगढ़ तो नया सब बसा था. जैसे मैं बटाले से आया हूँ, मेरे फादर ग्रैंडफादर सब बटाले गए हैं. ऐसे पूछ रहा था. बटाले दे कितने हो? अच्छा, साढ़ा चक्री बाजार का जद्दी. हाँ जी बेटा, असम से हो तुम? वेरी नाइस. कामाख्या देवी टेम्पल है. अब आम आदमी बोलेगा नहीं ऐसी सीधी बात उसी टाइम पे ना, पता ही नहीं होगा उसको. तो फिर मैं काजीरंगा भी बोलूंगा, वन हॉर्न भी बोलूंगा, मैं तो 100 बातें बोलूंगा असम के बारे में भी. यहाँ बैठे लोग कुछ भी नहीं बोलेंगे. फिर मैं इनको बताऊंगा कि असम, ओ भाई, नेशनल सिटीजन फॉर नेशनल रजिस्टर फॉर सिटीजन्स, एनआरसी का इशू, असम गण परिषद, राजीव गांधी अकॉर्ड फॉर असम गण परिषद, सारा कुछ हुआ ना, पता है ये. बस यही चाहता हूं मैं, सबको पता हो. हाँ बोला जाए कॉन्फिडेंटली, हाँ सर मुझे पता है. प्रफुल्ल महांता साहब के बारे में क्या नहीं पता मुझे? कौन है प्रफुल्ल महांता? असम गण परिषद पॉलिटिकल पार्टी क्यों बनी थी? ये सारी चीजें तुम सबको पता है. क्यों पता होनी चाहिए? सिर्फ इसलिए तुमने आईएएस बनना है, इसलिए कि सोसाइटी में कॉन्फिडेंटली रहना भी है. कोई भी पेपर देने जाओ, बैंक क्लर्क का भी दो, उसमें तो ये क्वेश्चन आ जाएगा. जीके ही है ना, ये तो वहां भी पूछी जा सकती है. इट्स नॉट अबाउट आईएएस, इट अबाउट एनी कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम दैट यू एवर एस्पायर फॉर. चलो मैं तुम्हें एक और बेनिफिट बताता हूँ यूपीएससी की तैयारी का. वन ऑफ आवर कंटेम्परेरीज, नॉट अ फ्रेंड, अ कंटेम्परेरी, preparing for IAS, couldn't clear it in 2 or 3 attempts and then decided, okay यार मैं नहीं और टाइम वेस्ट कर रहा. He did his MBA and joined a job in MNC. Not a very big thing ना, एक छोटी सी पोजीशन से आदमी स्टार्ट करेगा लाइफ में MNC में. One fine day they were sitting in a meeting and he was sitting on the back chairs, not even active member. फाइलें पकड़ के पीछे बैठा हुआ है. VPs बैठे हैं, एसोसिएट डायरेक्टर्स बैठे हैं, ऐसे लोग बैठे हैं, एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर्स एंड अदर. मीटिंग चल रही है और गोरे आए हुए हैं. उस मीटिंग में किसी ने बोला यार कि हिमाचल में टैक्स हॉलीडेज हैं, तो हम यहाँ पे एक नया प्लांट लगा लेते हैं. फाइन, सारे कह रहे हैं ग्रेट आइडिया जी, वेरी नाइस. ये पीछे से ना एक्सक्यूज मी बोलता है एंड एवरीवन लुक्स टुवर्ड्स हिम, सेड सर आई वुड पॉइंट आउट दैट हिमाचल इज अ हाई सेस्मिक जोन एरिया वेयर अर्थक्वेक्स आर मोर प्रोन. And if we go to South India, which is Gondwana land, which is less prone to earthquake, which is more stable, and recently Telangana has been created, and even they will give us tax holidays now for the betterment of their state. So I think we should explore that possibility. Moreover, South India will give us more access to the sea lanes. 4 बातें बोली. उसको बोलते तू यहाँ क्या कर रहा है? साथ चल, वो फिनलैंड बैठा हो, उसकी लाइफ ही चेंज होगी बंदे की सिर्फ इतना बोलने से ही. वो मुझे फोन करके कह रहा, कहता वो भाई यार ये यूपीएससी तो यहाँ भी काम आ गई. यूपीएससी कहीं नहीं छोड़ने वाली. तुमने तैयारी कर दी ना तो तुम नॉलेजेबल हो, तुम हर जगह कॉन्फिडेंट हो. आई होप दैट मेक सेंस टू यू नाउ. थोड़ा डर खत्म हुआ, कॉन्फिडेंस आया कि क्या बनना है लाइफ में, क्या बनना है. वेरी गुड. अगर आईएएस बोलते मैंने अभी भगा देना था. आपका डाउट? यस मैम. सर आपका डाउट सर? ऑल क्लियर? चलो फिर बाय बाय, Now I will talk to online students. यार देखो भट्टाचार्य जी ने 1985 में हुआ था असम अकॉर्ड, यहाँ लिख दिया उसने, था से आया आंसर. All right guys, I am going to give mic to Hardik Malik. Tell me Hardik, what do you want to ask? Thank you very much. See you guys tomorrow now.
हेलो सर, गुड इवनिंग.
हार्दिक बोलो भाई, तुम्हारी आवाज नहीं आ रही यार.
सर आवाज आ रही है? हेलो 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 हेलो.
हार्दिक मेरे को लग रहा है यार मेरे ना माइक की वायर खराब हो गई है. कैन आई टेक डाउट्स टुमारो इफ यू डोंट माइंड? प्लीज टाइप इन चैट बॉक्स. आई विल टेक योर डाउट्स टुमारो, राइट? All right guys, then I have to call it a day. आज पता नहीं टेक्निकल टीम का लड़का थोड़ा जल्दी चला गया था. He had to leave a little early, so I will take your doubts tomorrow. You guys can leave the class now. Thank you everyone. God bless you.